Okay, welcome out. Here we are again. We're listing our lists. We're moving along with our lists. I think this is number 4 in the series. Um, as I've done before, let's get right into it. If you're heading off to college not motivated, it's way too late. Motivation for college comes in the planning and knowing who you are, and how to plan to exploit these elements for a college career. Okay. And we've talked a little bit about this already. So this will go over in everything that we kind of skimmed the surface on in much more detail. Number one, first and foremost, get a job. The main reason to be in college is to get a job and to build on it towards a career. You may be going to just learn a new field or to further that of an existing field, but in those situations, motivation is not an issue because of the fact that you're in that field, you've motivated yourself enough to get into that field. Now you're just adding to it. You're adding to it or you're switching to another field, right? So your motivation is not an issue. Most who are not motivated are first-time users of the collegiate system, okay? Motivation is an issue when you're staring at a blank slate and you're a first-time buyer, as in just graduated from college. There's a lot or high school. There's a lot you need to do before you go off to college. Some of those things would be self-exploration by the Briggs-Myers typology test, brainstorming with parents, friends, neighbors as to a potential field and so on. So you don't want to, and I've mentioned this before too, you don't want to just go off to college because everybody's saying go off to college. Your parents are saying it, your friends are saying it, your teacher's saying it, society is saying it, your president is saying it. I remember Obama saying everybody should get a bachelor's degree. And I'm like, no, 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 please don't do that. Don't say that, right? Because you really got to be prepared. Bachelor's degree is not for everybody. Maybe you want a 2-year degree. Maybe you want a technical degree. Maybe you're going to do hands-on training, apprenticeship. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to acquire skills out there, and college is only one tool. Okay. Best tool? I don't know. Is it a good tool? I don't know. Right? You have to think it through. I can't give you a blanket solution or answer for those questions because what people want and what they are and matching what they are to what they want or a career, it's complicated. Okay, it's not as easy as some say, as some deem it to be. Is getting a college degree a bad thing to do? In most cases, it's probably a good thing to do, right? Because you're showing with a college degree to your potential employer a couple of things. First of all, that you have a certain level of stick-to-itiveness. You stuck to it for 4 years. That shows that you can get your focus, you can get the job done, you can do long-term projects, goals. And also, you probably have a little bit of intelligence, hopefully, if you've acquired some knowledge along the way. And according to statistics, oftentimes that doesn't happen as much or as frequently or at the level that people think it occurs. Okay. So anyways, rambled on a bit there. So let's go to the next one. Work from the outside in. And again, I've talked about this concept before. In approaching any complicated task, it's best to get an overview before you go into the details. So what is it that you want to do? And I'm not talking professionally, but specifically, what do you want to do? Right? Do you want to save the planet? Do you want to teach a nation or a small portion of it, build a national roadway or maybe a town, infrastructure, building? You want to become an architect? You're interested in focusing on building that building, creating great buildings of great structure and worth and aesthetic and beauty and so forth, right? How big, how far, how deep and wide? You need the details. Me personally, using me as an example, what I wanted to do was really educate people. So I went into education. Well, that makes sense, right? That's obvious. But I wanted to do more than just teach a particular discipline. I wanted to teach career life, and that's what I'm doing now, right? And this is something that came to me maybe 30 years ago or so. And it wasn't all formulated all at once. It took a while to gestate. As far as coaching and that end of the deal is concerned, that didn't come until I had been out of college for a while and I had been teaching. Then the idea started to formulate. Okay. Again, you don't, as far as goals are concerned, you don't have to have the specific end product in mind all the time for every goal, right? Um, you want a good feel for whether or not you're heading on the right path, but where the path will ultimately end up, that's something that you'll learn as you move forward, right? So as I move forward and as I taught more and more and contemplated and brainstorm, I used to go for walks. Great way to brainstorm. I used to go for a half hour, 40, 50-minute walks, maybe an hour if I was really thinking a lot and just think about stuff. Let my brain free float, right? That's where the eurekas come. If you remember Einstein or Galileo or Newton or anyone, Newton, apple fell on his head. Oh, gravity. Well, that's not the way it worked, but he was in a down state. He was not actively thinking about anything, and that's why I used to go for walks. Just let my mind wander, let my mind breathe with ideas. And I started to come up with all kinds of ideas and brainstorms and insights and notions that eventually paid off great to great fruition. Okay. So, but you do have to get specific. I want to be an accountant. I want to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. You got to go deeper than that. There's more. There's more than that in most cases, not always so, but in most cases, you want to get a little more specific. So I did want to teach, but I wanted to teach um, the basics. I eventually came up with the idea that what I wanted to do was uh, teach incoming students into college, teach them from the perspective of what do most people, in this case, the people are the students, what do most students, people need most of the time in most situations, right? And from there, that's where things really started to take off, right? And I formulated an idea, a plan, and I came up with 5 or 6 concepts that I knew every student, I want to say almost every student, there are probably always exceptions, but what every student needed, right? And I've already talked about that before. I don't want to go into more detail. 3, now that you're motivated, stay there. As you move forward with your big dreams, it's not going to be all peaches and roses or peaches and cream, whatever that saying is, or on the up and up. You will struggle. There are the detractors, families and friends, others who may try to derail you. You will get sick, tired, unemployed, break off a relationship, lose focus, and so much more. So the bottom line is that you must get your head right at the outset, get help from others to keep you there. Don't try to go it alone. Family and friends, teachers, counselors, the famous and infamous can all lend a hand. Okay. And again, I've talked about this before in much more detail. Okay. These lists are really to just kind of go over in a cursory manner some of the basic issues in regards to college, pre-planning for college, uh, being in college, utilizing college, uh, uh, you know, as an end product, and also after college. What am I going to do after college, right? Um, Number 4, think about the end before you get there. Some successful people say that you need to fake it before you make it, as in think that you're already there before you get there. How's that achieved? We talked about lacking energy or getting distracted. One way to stay on track is not only imagine what it'd be like when you've graduated and start working, but live there in the present. Go talk to or hang out with professionals in your field. Get the lay of the land, let them feed you an image board, and this is what successful people do. I imagine myself 10 years from now successful, and I'm going to create an image board. I'm going to put images or pictures on a board. the company I'm working at, or the company I built, or the house I live in, the town I live in, the family I have, and so forth, right? The car I drive and whatever, right? So you know, successful people have used the concept of the image board or imagining, seeing it in your mind's eye first, right? And as we know, everything that eventually became a reality was in the mind at some point, right? This country was in some people's minds at one point. You, as a child of a parent, were in those parents' mind at one point. Their careers, everybody's careers were in their mind at one point, and then they became real, manifested real. Let them feed you image board of the future, excuse me, stumbling here. It certainly can't hurt, right? Don't just focus on work. Johnny or Judy become dull people if it's all work and no play. Even if you're working full time and going to school full time, you need downtime. If you don't find some on occasion, you will crash and burn. Find at least 2 or 3 days a month to get away from it all. Plan a trip somewhere, even stay at someone's house in the next town for a day or two. You just want to break the routine, get away from the ordinary, right? You want to, and you've probably been on vacations, right? You go away for a week or two, or maybe even more, and you feel like a new person. You feel rejuvenated. You've kind of hit the reset button. You start to see things more clearly. This is also something that you should do if you're kind of in a rut and you don't know what to do. Should I get a new career? Should I get a new job? Should I go back to college? Should I, just stay where I am and work up the ladder and, buy a new home, or what, you really need to, um, allow that free form thinking process to occur, where the eurekas come, the apple hitting Newton on the head, right? Wow, gravity, wow, yes, I do want a new career. And after you've taken some downtime, you'll start to see things a little more clearly. Number 6, also don't forget to celebrate. It can be as simple as finishing the first semester, really embrace it. Maybe set up a party for yourself as an I did it, 1 down, 7 to go party. Have fun with it. That would be semesters, right? Maybe you get a great grade on a paper, test, or class that you worked hard for. Do something special. Rally the troops and go play miniature golf. Slam some balls in the batting cage. Go dancing to the beach. Get out and celebrate. I remember the first poem I got published. It was a Canadian journal that I loved. That loved my poem. They gave me high praise. Excuse me. I remember jumping around the apartment and being high for days. Celebrate. You're worth it. Okay. So you definitely do have to celebrate those moments, and you do need to take time off, even if you're working hard. I was going to school full time or working full time and just grinding it out for 3.5 years to get my bachelor's and master's degree, right? But I also took time off. You have to take time off. And I can tell you, when you're grinding like that and you take time off, it probably takes you a day or so just to relax, because you're so much in go mode, you're so programmed for go mode that you realize that your body is not, you're not allowing, or you haven't allowed your body to relax. And if you don't relax enough, excessive stress like that can really cause problems. So you need to relax. You need to take time off. Okay. All right. Number 7, refocus, refocus, refocus. You have a particular plan and goal, you need to stick to them. As stated, you can get distracted, bored, tired, among other downswings. Remembering why you're on the mission in the first place is a good way to get back up on top. Maybe write it down. Writing is great therapy. There's another video I've got to do on writing and how to brainstorm and how to pull up ideas that you've forgotten, or insight that you didn't know that you had, right? Writing and brainstorming is, and I've done all kinds of writing almost all of my life, or most of my life. It's amazing how, and when you're writing a lot, how the ideas just keep coming, right? You kind of open up the floodgates when you're writing and you're allowing your brain to think and come up with ideas and to work its miracles. Because oftentimes we don't know what we're thinking until we've written, right? And I don't know why it works that way, but inevitably it's been mentioned time and time and time again by professional writers and not professional writers, right? There's something therapeutic and revelatory about writing, pulling forth ideas and desires and wishes and insights and wisdom and knowledge, that you probably never even knew you had. I remember that poem that I said that I sent off to Canada. That came out and just almost complete. And it was kind of complex. There was quite a bit to it. It just came out complete in one shot, pretty much. I just had to make some minor edits to it. And then I sent it off and they loved it. And they thought it was probably one of the best things they'd ever published or ever read, right? So there you go. And what did I do? I was merely just a conduit. I don't remember because it happened so fast. It just came, in and out. I don't remember working the ideas over and over again. I was just basically the conduit or the opportunity for those ideas to be passed through and then written down from my fingertips or pen or pencil, whatever I used. Maybe join an online group of college students and discuss the problems with them. Brainstorm, journal, discuss, keep those juices flowing. So you got to stay on top of this thing, your goal or your goals. Um, you've got to maintain it. You got to do maintenance. You got to take breaks. You got to celebrate. Sometimes you got to refocus. You got to, remind yourself, now, why am I doing this and sacrificing all this time and torturing myself with this crazy schedule of working full time and going to college full time? Why? Someone remind me, So you can talk with other college students. I remember doing a little bit of that. By the time I went back to college, I was 35. So I was an adult and I had learned a lot of managing and self-motivation over the years. So I really didn't need to do a lot of this. But if you're a tenderfoot or if you're green, you're new to this, then you've got to work on acquiring these skills. Take some time, right? Work things through. Uh, know what you're doing and keep monitoring as you're moving forward, right? Manage that inner voice. Unknown to most, our thoughts tend to work like a tape loop. Maybe you feel unworthy, shy, sad, but guess what? There's always the reverse. Let's change those thoughts to their counterparts. I grew up very shy, sad, and feeling unworthy. What did I do? I practiced not being shy. I remember walking around, and I'm a big guy. I'm a 6'3", about 265 or so, right? But when I was younger, I was much, much skinnier. I was probably like 195, 200 or so. But you know, I, I had a girlfriend who was like 5 feet or so. And she said, if I was your size, nothing would ever intimidate or bother me, right? Well, you know, even the biggest dog sometimes feels like they're not that tough or they're not that big, right? So I practiced keeping my eyes up and looking at people. And then I started to get good at that. And you don't want to stare at people too long, especially if you're a big person. Walking down the street, people get a little nervous. So I had to be careful with it. But then I said, you know what? I got to do the next best thing. Now I have to be able to get up in front of people, get up in front of a group and talk and make a point and discuss and try to be the leader or the one in charge. So I started volunteering anytime I was out and there was a need for a volunteer, I volunteered. Then I just started doing things that would put me in front of people. Stand-up comedy was one thing that was obvious, right? And then, the speaking and the teaching and all this other stuff, so that I turned that remarkable weakness into a strength, right? No longer shy, no longer sad, no longer feeling unworthy. Now I had flipped the script. Now I had done a 180. I worked so hard at becoming not shy, feeling good about myself and confident. Then I got to a point where I had to take it down a notch. I'm going, you gotta back off with the not shy, buddy. Maybe not talk so much or so loudly or so often or so brashly, and maybe not always act so confident or in control. But in my life, I had gone through a lot of problems when I was younger, a lot of depression, a lot of really bad depression. There were days where I wasn't even speaking. I didn't feel like talking to anyone. I was just in a dark place. Suicidal tendencies, even. So I had a choice, either keep going down or work up. And I decided to work upwards and to lift myself by my own bootstraps. You can't do that physically. There's got to be another way to express that. Have somebody lift me up by my own bootstraps, I guess. And, eventually after that, I got to the point where if I was speaking and there were other speakers going up, as well as me, I would in my mind, I'm thinking, gee, I want their time. Each one of you people just give me your 45 minutes and I'll be happy with that. I'll talk for 5 hours. So it's amazing what you can do with a little bit of effort, the way you can change things, right? Um, so I used to tell myself, also kind of have a change that mental loop, tell myself that I'm okay. I'm as worthy as anyone else to be happy and to achieve and do whatever, right? So practice won't necessarily make you perfect, right? You can work towards perfection, but you can make huge changes in your life. Fear is a factor. Don't let it be. According to Napoleon Hill, Law of Success in 16 Lessons. And again, I'll send you off to our video library. I went over, I think, most, at least 14 or so of those lessons, if not all of them, in considerable detail. And you can look at the videos in the video library. Law of Success, 16 Lessons. According to Napoleon Hill, 6 great fears in life: poverty, criticism. That's why people don't like to get up and speak. Ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. Some of these you can't do much about. If you get sick, you get sick. Even the people who work, even healthy people who have great diets and exercise get sick. Because eventually we all get sick and die. Loss of love. Who hasn't had that happen to them? Old age. You're lucky to get old, right? You don't want to die young. Preferably die at an old age, and then death, right? So those 4: ill health, loss of love, old age. I'm not going to talk about those because there's really not much. I think those 4 you probably have to go to a higher power, right? Or if you're talking loss of love and dealing with those things mentally, maybe a psychologist or a therapist expert, or maybe your choice of the divine, in regards to death. Okay. But anyways, I'm going to deal with the other 2. One of the reasons people are motivated to go to college is the first one: poverty. People are always looking to ensure greater financial security. Unfortunately, in order to get there, one must get out of their comfort zone. And that's where the criticism comes in, right? You begin risking criticism and failure. Again, the best way to overcome this issue is to practice. Personally, in downtimes, I began to read to expand my world, pull the wool away from my eyes to get a leg up on the competition. I wanted to know things, not just imagine I did. I began to read dozens of books on science, math, theology, philosophy, finance, money, politics, history, economics, and so on. Guess what? My confidence and sense of self skyrocketed. Try it. You'll like it. So where are your shortcomings? Do you feel dumb? Do you feel not informed? Do you feel that you don't know enough about the basics or about the world or whatever, right? You've got time, start doing some reading. People watch an average of 4 hours of television a day. Take that time and use it for something more useful. I used to never watch television. Now in my latter years, I watch way more television because I got more time, and I'm in the leisurely stage, I guess we could say. But when I was younger, well into my 50s or so, man, I just read and I just worked. That's all I did. Massive action. Uh, Maybe not going 24/7, 365, but probably about 80, 90% of that time, just working. Definitely 6, 7 days a week, and most of the day, most of the waking time, I was working. Very little downtime, if I remember correctly. So once you really start to know things and you learn, and you're not just guessing or imagining or trying to deceive people that you know things, or pull the wool over their eyes. It's amazing what that knowledge, what that education, what that understanding provides for your backbone. You really start to sit up straight. I know things. And to be honest, uh, most places I went, I was the one who was usually the best informed, the most insightful. And you might say, well, that's rather arrogant. That's pompous. No, that's the truth. Because I came from the depths of despair. I was down in the muck and the mire. I felt just completely, absolutely, and abjectly terrible about myself. I wanted to die. I contemplated suicide numerous times. So I've seen the way downs and I've seen the way ups and everything in between. So I'm not messing with you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm too old to do that. If I'm doing that now, then it's a little too late. Trying to fluff up my ego or get something out of lies. It's pointless at this point in your life, to be honest. So I'm telling you the God's honest truth, right? So that's one of the things I did. I started to really learn about things. I also practiced, not being shy. I practiced being confident. And then I had to practice not being overly confident. It's like, what the hell, man? It seems like life is like that. It seems like a series of back and forths. You compensate and then you overcompensate, compensate, overcompensate, right? So, anyways, there's work to be done. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you. Finally, don't give up. 4 years is a long time. So stay on track. So to stay on track is a challenge. But because most don't prepare or do little on this list, they fail. Remember, 50% going off to obtain a 4-year degree, never do. A 50-50 shot is not good. Not good enough. You need to limit those odds, get to work, and stay stuck there. Good luck. Okay? And that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next list. Take it easy.